AI is evolving fast. Are you ready? Meet AI at Flightbase, your weekly hub to learn, upskill, and stay ahead in AI world. Let's dive into today's session.
For those of you who are new here and who's joining us for the very first time, first of all, thanks for joining in and hope you enjoy the session. But we do have few amazing sessions lined up, and all of the updates normally comes on our WhatsApp community. So the session recordings, there's a lot of discussions going on, and it's a growing community we have. So do join us there, and let's keep this community moving. With that being said, the agenda of the call normally goes as me going ahead and telling a few news, which is going around in the industry, and then we'll have Havish joining in and explaining the session. Moving ahead, yeah, I think I'm pretty much visible now. Yeah, cool. So yes, Haiku 4.5. We had Sonnet 4 come in with Claude, and then after that, Claude launched Haiku 4.5, their latest small model that matches Sonnet 4's performance or does even more, but for the third of the cost and more than twice the speed. So there are a lot of people who are talking around it. This person here has built an app, and he says how he's done it using Haiku in less than 50 seconds. So that's like the speed that everybody's talking about. But that being said, there are also people who are talking about this store a lot of your memories, and they are using the Haiku model over there as well. And a lot of people are finding it very useful. So when you're switching between different projects, or even if you're using a Claude code, you must have used a lot of these files that you store all your data in. So this is somewhat something like that, where it automatically allocates, find its folders, and automatically puts all the memory in. Something pretty cool that has come across. So do have a look into it. Sorry, my net is really bad, but I'll send all of these videos in so that you can have a look at it. Also, Nitin had shared this a day ago. So there is a startup flash sale going on, and there are a lot of tools that you're getting with a lot of offers. So it's something crazy. You have to go and check. I've already purchased a few. So do have a look at it and do purchase. Not sure about the people who are there on the call, but for those of you who have the creative side as well, VO 3.1 and VO 3.1 Fast has also come across. And there's a lot of good animations and a lot of good videos that you can do at the moment. Let us know if you're able to do something much creative than what you could do before. So that being said, that's the news for today. More to come will be on the group, but that's it for today. Havish here would be taking the session. He's built something really amazing. Havish, why don't you first introduce yourself and maybe like go ahead with the session? You're on mute.
Thanks, Shruti. Hello, guys. I hope everybody's having a good Diwali. So, let me kind of set the stage for what I do and regarding how this particular thing came about. So, I'm a product manager at Flightbase, and one of the things that product managers have to do is basically use product analytics as a tool to keep a track on our customers to figure out how well are they doing, how fast are they growing. If somebody's churning, then what if they're basically leaving your product and going to their competitors, why are they doing that if they are doing that, and also come up with a lot of business metrics which tells us about how much are they using the product, how they're using the product, what are the usage patterns, how they use different features in our product, right? Now, uh, obviously, if you are a seasoned product manager who has worked again for a long time in the industry, then you would know that there are already a lot of different uh, apps or basically softwares that you can integrate into your product to give you product analytics kind of information. But for us as a growing startup, a lot of those kind of things don't make sense, and the kind of analytics that we want to track is not something that is offered by them, because a lot of those are built for standard SaaS products, right? B2B, B2C standards as parts. So what we would end up is that I will kind of show you a traumatizing stab in my Chrome. I'm sure a lot of you will relate to this. So this is a very traumatizing tab for me. I don't have a lot of statistical background, and essentially going through lots and lots of Excel sheets where you have a lot of stats that are pulled off from our backend, and then trying to manipulate that data to get the kind of information that I want would mean that it would take me a lot of time to first of all figure out what I need, then visualize that, kind of get the insights, then go back, discuss with my team, and then there's an iteration on that. Then again, I have to go back, figure out what to do, come back with a new visualization or representation of the same data, and so on and so forth. So what we questioned was, how do you do the same problem in an AI native solution, right? So how would you do this in an AI native company, in an AI native community? How would you do this in an AI native way, right? So so this came about as a hackathon. So we had a one-day hackathon on Saturday last week, and all the developers came about, everybody, and there was a problem statement for everybody, and we included this problem statement for our hackathon, internal hackathon, that we need to solve this. So just to give you an overview of what kind of problem statements was part of this hackathon, as you can see, there are like 3 or 4 user stories. So they're like, we need a static flight monitoring, basically flight. So we are a drone automation company, right? So people fly using our platform. So flight or number of flights they do, the amount of hours they spend flying their drones, how many drones are they flying, how many drones do each of the organization have. These are all some standard statistics that we have. So static flight monitoring is just for us to figure out if are they increasing in the number of flights, are they decreasing, stuff like that. And second one is also something static with respect to platform and dog. But going down, user story number 3 and 4 are where it is really interesting. Oh, sorry, not user number story number 3. That is also something a static graph, but 4 and 5, right? So 4 is in an AI native way. Can we just ask the chart or basically the data that, okay, please give me this kind of insight in an NLP manner, just like we chat to our chatbots, how we use ChatGPT or Claude or something like that. How can we do that same for large amounts of data? So that was 4 for, and if we can create the different kind of charts or visualizations, we need to see that data, but we are not doing that data analysis ourselves. We're not putting the formulas ourselves. We're not rearranging the columns ourselves, but we're letting the AI take over there and do that for us. And the second one was using now these different charts that we have built. Can we completely have a custom dashboard that highlights the most important information for you according to the prompt that you have given, and you have specified what is more important to you, right? So this is user story 4 and 5, which is what we wanted to solve, which was the interesting AI, the agentic way of solving something. Out of this, considering that it was I think it was just an 12-hour hackathon, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. I was only able to attempt one of them, which was which was user story number 4, where we had to come up with agentic charts or agentic visualizations of the data that we already have. So I will just walk you guys through a high level of the inspiration there. So inspiration there is something is Claude. I'm sure everybody uses every single day. So in Claude, if you, let us say, you put a prompt like that, plot me the growth of human population in the last so many in 100 years, it can definitely give you like a chart, right? And it will not only give you that chart, it will actually plot it. And sometimes, I mean, depending upon how you prompt it, this chart could be interactive, where you can, hover over different data points, you can get some information, or it can be static like a PNG. It depends on what the how good your prompt is, if you tell it specifically what you want it to build, right? And similarly, if you want to, if let us say my next prompt is something like, show me the percentage distribution of people in different countries, right? So then also it created me like a pie chart and a bar graph, a horizontal bar graph, and you can see all the percentage distribution that it has done for me. Now the question here, why? So you can ask, well, just take all of your data, put it into Claude like this, and ask it to give you whatever charts and data you want on that particular charts, right? So what's the limitation in that? What is the problem in that? Well, first of all, the problem is it won't be connected to your system, that in the sense that you cannot use it every single day. Every single day you have to go to your other system, pull data from there, put it here, and then use that to make the data to build the charts. And the second biggest problem is, if you throw something like 200 million lines of 200,000 rows and maybe into 10 or 15 columns bunch of data to your AI, its context is going to get overflowed. It physically won't be able to do whatever it needs to do. Obviously, Claude is pretty smart in the sense it creates Python scripts, a lot of Python scripts to be able to do this, but it does not do it very reliably, because if every one of your input, if it is going to if it is going to come up with a new Python script, then you may not be seeing the same data again and again and again, right? The same processing on that same data again and again and again. And obviously the size of the data becomes a factor as to how big of a data can you actually process it, and even the output, how well can you actually interact with the output. That also becomes a problem in this kind of a UI, right? So going ahead with, so what I tried to attempt in my solution, in my idea, was that let me try and kind of recreate this, but I want it to be able to handle that different amount, that size of data, and I want it to be more predictable. It should not be throwing me PNGs here and there. It should not be. It should be giving me standard, usable, repeatable kind of format of visualization, right? So for that, the solution that I found, or
Avish,
basically,
you'll need to share your screen again.
yeah, I am just going about. I'm just trying to find the the screen I need for that. Yes, can you see?
Yes, it
Yes.
is coming up. We can.
Okay, right. So the thought process. So here I will just first demo to you how this looks like. Let me just explain what you are seeing. So on the left side, you can see that there is some data here. This data is not terribly big. It is big enough for me to kind of demo and test out my methodology. I have a user query down there. I have agent one, agent two, and then rendered. I will explain what those individual things are. But the point is, I'm putting a NLP requirement over there. So the data here is like car, bike, motorcycle usage. It is AI generated data. It is just some sample data I'm working off of. And here in the user query, what I'm saying is compare these different usages and give me the result in a bar graph, right? So that is the kind of an NLP input that I'm giving to the AI here. And then I press enter for it to run. And then the AI runs on it. And this is a chart on which I think I changed. Oh, I asked it to do it in a pie chart later on. I changed the prompt. And then it has created this pie chart for me dynamically, right? So what happened here and how is this system working? So this particular demo, I can give it the same data, I can give it different types of data, and I can give the requirement in an NLP form. That not if let me just show you a few more demos, and it will be better, it will be more easier to understand the abilities of the system. Okay. Okay. Now let me just walk you through how this works, right? So what is happening here is that this is a two-stage agent. So from that, what I mean is this first agent actually does not do data analysis on the bunch of data that is being used here. It actually provides like a formula that needs to be applied on the data. And the second agent that you see here, which says data transformation, it actually, this is a kind of a Python, or basically consider it as a function, right? It is a function that can input, that can basically accept different kind of transformations that can be made on your tables and your rows in your CSV. So the agent one only tells what kind of transformation needs to be done on this data by sampling that data and understanding that data, but it does not consume the data. So from that, what I mean is, assume if you had to give it like data, which is like 500,000 rows, it won't actually take those 500,000 rows and do anything, any conversions with them. It will actually just sample them like evenly, just to understand how many columns are there, what are the columns for, what are the rows for, how does like an average sampling of the data look like across 20 data points, 30 data points, spaced evenly, randomly, however it is. And it understands the data. Oh, so these are the columns, these are the rows. Now if the user is asking me what he wants to see, then what should I do? Should I add these two columns and give him a sum? Should I average these two columns? Should I instead do a percentage between three different columns and then figure out what needs to be done? So it basically figures out what analysis, like what data processing needs to be done on the data that is being given here. And that is, and it only tells that instructions about what processing has to be done to a static standard like a formula processor, which is this data transformer. So the first agent actually only outputs, as you can see here, a JSON. In that JSON, it has a filter. And in the filter, you can see that it is saying something like bike, remove bike columns as user only requested my motorcycle versus car comparison. So in the original data, there's bike, motorcycle, and car. But because I'm asking only bike versus, I'm only asking car versus motorcycle, it's removing the bike column from there. And it's asking this data transformer, which is a standard static, like basically normal software, to remove that particular column. So this agent's output is finally process data, and this second agent that you can see here, the chart designer output. Now this agent's responsibility is to configure this chart to show me the data. Now this chart that we're talking about is again a standard library. It is called as Chart.js. I'm sure all the web developers out in this audience would recognize it. And we all know that Chart.js can be configured to have a certain x-axis, certain y-axis. You can put legends in it. You can name that chart. You can use, like, I think 6 to 8 different kind of charts in that Chart.js library. Like you can use bar graphs, horizontal graphs, vertical graphs, points, scatters, lines, whatever it is. All you need to do is, to that library, you need to give the configuration and you need to give the data. So the second agent's job is to take what the first agent kind of gave and figure out how to chart it. So the second agent only configures the chart. It also does not process the data. Then the code just then takes the configuration of the second agent. It takes the process data that this data transformer applied, and then it charts it out. So that way, what I have managed to do is that neither of my AI systems are consuming huge amounts of data, which means they are never running out of context and they can work reliably. And I have also kind of standardized the outputs they give. So the first agent can only give the outputs that my data transformer can support, and the second agent can only give the output that the Chart.js library supports, which means my visualizations, my interaction with this particular chart that came at the end of this particular execution has a standard interaction. Like I can hover over those particular pie graphs and see what is what, and so on and so forth, right? So this is the kind of ability that that I was able to achieve through this kind of agentic with standard software integration. So this was one way of processing data, one way of looking at data that I commonly do as a product manager, which is look at them through charts. But there's another way of looking at data. And the other way of looking at data is tables, right? When you have, like, you want to see, I have so many organizations or so many customers. I want to understand how these customers are using our product, who is the maximum user among them, who is the lowest user among them. And each of the users have multiple parameters, like how many flights they are doing, how much flight hours they are doing, how many video minutes. That's just one of the parameters on our dashboard are they consuming. When they have a lot of stuff like that, then you need a table. Like a chart will not be enough, or basically a graphic visualization cannot be enough. So then I applied the same kind of logic to a to a table generator. So again, here, as you can see on the left side, I have a big data set which says 120 days, 20 orgs, and then it has information that you can see down there, something like a date, organization, flights, flight hours, VVM usage, media collected. These are all fake information that we put in there just to create a big data set. And then I'm asking it questions like, show me top users according to VVM consumption. Like that's one of the prompts, right? Now this agent again here, what it is doing, similarly like the last one, it samples this data randomly. It takes enough data to understand what exactly does this data look like, which means this particular system is reusable across different data, which has different Excel sheets, different columns and different rows. It is not trained, or it is not configured to work on only one type of Excel sheet, columns and rows. It can work across any different type of data, and it can do that because it samples it. So it samples that data, it understands that what was required, and here also it is outputting according to my requirement, that this is the data transformations that needs to be done, this is the operations that needs to be done on that. And then below you have the data transformer. And finally, this table that you see is also again a standard WebJS library for tables. And again, this particular library has certain abilities that it can name the columns, it can add more columns, it can add rows, you can filter them, and it has standard interaction that, if you want to sort them ascending or descending, stuff like that. So all this particular step before it, the data transformation it did was that it transformed that data using the first AI's instructions on how to transform it into the data, which could be put into this table. and it comes in a useful manner. So in my prompt, I had asked it, give me the highest users of VVM per flight, right? I could have also asked it, give me the highest users of VVM. And I have done these kind of prompts with this system before. And if I asked it that, it would only give me total VVMs. But because I asked it per flight, the AI chose here to not only show me total VVM, to show me total flights, and then show me VVM per flight as well. So it is configuring the columns I need to answer this question, and is doing the operations. It is the mathematical operations needed to answer this question as well. So this is my so what have we achieved here, right? So what we have achieved here is that I do not have to worry about exhausting context, the context window of any of the AI, because I am not throwing all the data at the AI. I am using classical ways of uh, harnessing the data. I'm just using AI to tell me what mathematics do I need to do on it, how to do it, and I'm kind of offloading that, because anyway that was my problem, right? My problem was never that I had to look at so much data. My biggest problem was that how do, like, I don't want to go and put Excel equations, sum this, divide by this, and then do this, and then open charts in that, and put this data in this in that chart, that data in that chart, to come up with the data, come up with the visualization that helps me understand the data. I wanted a way where already have the data. I just want to say, show me this, right, and show me that, and then it can actually do the whatever is needed to show me not only the visualizations but also the mathematics to come up with the visualizations. So at the end of my project, what I achieved, like, these were POCs that were stepping stones for me on the way to reach my final result. And my final result looked something like this. Let me just open that last demo. Just give me one moment. Okay, so yes. So here, what I was able to do, again using AI, all of this is vibe coded, by the way. None of I was part of a. I used to code a long time ago, but I was a Python developer. I was never a web developer. So this is all vibe coded. But all I did was I connected a Supabase DB with our production DB to just clone the data from a production DB to bring data there, so that it does not look like so that I'm not messing around with the actual production database. This is just like a copy of that. Currently, what you can see is from our staging, not actually our production. And then on this, I have some standard buttons like date range. Obviously I don't want to look at all data, things like that. And then I have the AI data table generator integrated into this. So on our actual data that I'm testing on, I can put the prompt that I want for that particular that I want to see in the tables. I can put the prompt that I want to put I want to see in my visualizations, and it is actually then you doing essentially the same thing it was doing in those separate things, but now as a product. And this particular code that I built, I hosted on Railway. So if you guys know railway.com, it is very easy to take your demos and POCs, kind of stuff like this, and just host it there. It takes 15 minutes, and you have something on production, and it with authentication as well. So only people in your team will be able to access it, and you don't have to worry about data getting leaked or anything. And basically everybody in your team can use it. It's not necessary that in your PC you need to, like, everybody needs to go and start npm start in their PC to be able to use it. So I was able to complete the hackathon in that way. So in that way, using railway.com to actually deploy and host this particular application. So yeah, that is the kind of the complete idea here. Like I said, when I started with that, we had two user stories that we wanted to meet through agentic AI. We wanted to meet the user story of the AI based chart generation and visualization like this, but also the complete dashboard. Now, what was my plan for that, which I could not achieve in the time period we had, was the fact that if I can actually get these AI enabled small charts, right? At the end of the day, the big dashboard is a combination of all of this. So then I will just probably segment my dashboard into 8 parts and give one visualization or a table agent to each one of them. And all I need to do is, probably when I put an input in the main prompt there, like of my complete dashboard, then I have an agent which will just break it down into different prompts for all my 8 sub agents, sort of. And those sub agents will work on that same data to throw up the visualizations and throw up the tables that I need to understand it, right? So this was a stepping stone. Maybe in a upcoming AI in action, I can actually come forward and show you the complete dashboard someday. But yeah, that's where we are. That's how far we have come at the moment with like, and all of this is like a 1 day hackathon, 12-hour hackathon that we did here at Flybase.
That's great, Havish. Thanks for this. We do have a few questions, so let's get to it. So Yashdeep asked, like, is it possible to connect this AI dashboard agent with the existing database, and how effective it can be?
Right. So let me answer that by saying that the AI does not need to be connected, but your dashboard needs to be connected. So let me just present the system again, and I will show you what I mean by that. Right. So on the dashboard right now, you can see this data, right? Like total hours of flight time is 7 hours, 54, and all of this. This data is coming from our production system. So whenever I put like a date range, I see 7 days and I hit refresh. There's a refresh button here, like that refresh data. Then standard, like not AI, but standard software code will hit that database, get that AI, get that data, and then it passes my table, passes it to my table generator AI and my chart generator AI to use that to create the tables and the charts. So the AI does not need to be connected. What that means is that you can make this system in any way you want. You have full freedom. You have full freedom of your system design. You can design your dashboard to work with that data from anywhere. Maybe you can have an import CSV or an import XLS option here on this dashboard that you can press to upload like downloaded CSVs or Excel or Excel files that you have. So one of the major achievements here was the fact that we disconnected sending AI all the data, so that it does not actually have to work with so much data, but we still get the insights that AI can give us.
Correct. Havish, but just a small doubt, I'm not sure. But the question says connect this AI dashboard agent. So I think he's talking about the agents that you've created. So I hope you've answered that part as well, right?
Yeah, so once the data is available to the agent in this dashboard, or basically the data comes into this dashboard, you can feed it to both of these agents, like the table generator agent and the chart generator agent. Tomorrow, if you want one more agent which does something else, then that same data can be given to that agent as well. Because when so this agent is okay. Actually, I did not explain how the AI here is working. So how the AI here is working is through API keys of Claude. So
Mhm.
essentially, whenever I press that button which says generate, or basically this button down here, uh, yeah, this generate button, what is happening is that some of the data is being sampled. My prompt is sampled. There is some system prompts as well, and that is being sent to Claude through Claude's APIs that you can use using their API keys. And
Mhm.
then Claude returns, like the standard Claude servers, they return with the response, which is the response which is then passed on to create the remaining parts of the charts and the graphs.
Makes sense. I think that pretty much answers the question. Praveen asked, like, what platform did you use to build the agents? I think you just answered, but yeah.
Okay, so the way this platform, this whole vibe coding, all of this vibe coding happened with Cloud Code. So I basically created a folder on Cloud Code, and I created a folder and then initialized Cloud Code inside it. Then I took the hackathon problem statement, like this particular problem statement. Let me just present it so I can walk you through how exactly do we go about vibe coding. So I took this problem statement, I gave this problem statement to Claude Code by putting it in that same folder where Claude Code was there, and then I asked Claude to read the problem statement, and then I just brainstormed with it. Okay, so what do you think? How do we build this? How do we approach user story number 4? How do we approach user story number 5? And Claude Code was talking back to me saying, we can try this, we can try this. Then I said, okay, let us go step by step. Can you just build me one HTML which does this simple thing? And to do the simple thing, you tell me what you want. So then it said, give me a Cloud Code API key or whatever is required. So I gave that. Then it created that whole HTML with that all of that. We tested it. I told Claude what was working, what was not working. It fixed any issues that were there, and then we decided, okay, part one is done. Let's go to part two. So that's how we did it. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. So Frenel says, in your opinion, can this solution serve as an alternative to conventional BI tools?
Uh, I would not be fully be able to answer that question because I don't think I have much experience with conventional BI tools, so I would not be able to compare. But if you have some experience with that, and if you and with this demo that we did, if you can think of how would this help, then I think you would be in a better position to answer that question. Basically, think what do you do on the BI tools dashboard today, and where do you spend a lot of time? Like even on the conventional BI tools, do you still are you still manipulating the data? Are you still fighting to create those charts and graphs and whatever visualizations do you that you need? If that is true, then maybe you can offload it to AI, just like here. Let the AI come up with the configuration for the charts, do the data manipulation for you, so that it can build it, right?
Hmm.
So maybe yes, you can do something like that, but I would not know for sure.
Yeah, I think Frenel can comment on it more. But moving ahead, Chaitanya asks, how do you identify the KPIs? Can the AI identify the same by itself?
So this is a very interesting question, and one of the goals that we had from the hackathon was to get the AI to do this as well, to basically flag users by itself by looking at some patterns that some customers are scaling, like they're taking off, right? And we really need to go ahead, talk to them, support them, look at other business opportunities we can explore with them because they clearly love our product. At the same time, some customers are dropping off. Then, if the AI could show me that this customer is happy, this customer is not happy, this customer is stagnated, but we expected them to scale, right? So if the AI could come up with those kind of insights, that would be even great. And that was one of the goals of the hackathon, and we had a idea in mind about how we would do it, which is provide the data in a structured manner. You jam with AI, you figure out what that structure should be with AI only, but you standardize that data. That on what do you want those alarms to be raised in the first place? Do you want the AI to be looking at number of flights, flight hours, maybe some usage of one of the products like VVMs or something like that, and then you want it to give you an alert? If that is the case, create a structure of that data and find a way to pass that data to the AI, and then let the AI be able to answer that. Just be careful about how much data you're passing, because then you may end up in a problem of exhausting the context. So if we can come up with a structure where we are able to send that data properly to the AI, and you set correct expectation and you explain to the AI, this is very important, that I had to do in my project, was that to explain to the AI what do each column and what do each row mean, right? So it should have some context of it. So you need to be a little bit descriptive in your data, that what is this column. So maybe add another row in which you're just describing that column, what that column is. Then if you give the AI that whole data, or basically that CSV or that XLS, then it will know how to process that data, how to manipulate that data, and maybe come up with those KPIs that can be used to help you identify the users that need help or need attention.
Correct. Basically, context engineering, is it?
Yeah.
Great. I think Pavitra here wants to do a hackathon. So she's asking him, can you please share this doc?
I think this is a little bit context heavy with respect to our customers, uh, uh, things, and also many technical jargons that are specific to our company. So I would probably not be able to share the hackathon document as it is, but I hope you get the same inspiration that I did through like Claude, like I had initially presented, right? Like this is how Claude does things. So just like here, if you asked it, if you come up with a graph of this, come up with a graph of that, do some analysis on some data. So this was the inspiration for what I was able to do. So I hope, and obviously Claude is available to everybody to explore and try different things. So I hope this would be a good problem statement in itself. That how do I make my dashboard give me insights like this? How do I talk to my product analytics dashboard like this and get the kind of information that I want?
Yeah, looks like Havish gave them a hackathon at this point. But great. Thank you so much, Havish. That's it for the questions. Oh, yeah, we have one more. Why
Yes.
not use dashboard templates instead of Claude again?
Sorry, I'm not sure uh,
You
what we
get
mean
that.
by dashboard templates.
Okay. Pavitra, you can unmute yourself. It's okay. If not, a text is also fine. or boiler templates such as OpenSAS.sesh?
I will have to look into what is OpenSAS.sh. At the moment, I'm not sure. Yeah. I think Sanjog raised his hand. Hi,
Yeah.
Sanjog.
Hi, Avish. I wanted to ask that, is this scalable in terms of if someone else connects it with their database,
Yeah.
will it also work there?
I think it will, because the one of the core part of that particular of the system was the fact that the data does not have to be extremely rigid, where the columns and rows are predefined, right? Where I could choose any like I could do in that same demo. I'm looking at cars and bikes and this. I'm looking at COVID spread results. I'm looking at sensor at like a temperature fluctuations in a sensor over time. So any of that, right? So the fact that so it is all of them have different kind of data. Some of them have enums, some of them have different float values, integer values, columns represent different things, and but it was still able to work through that. So I think it should be able to work with any kind of data that you can throw at it.
Okay, so the system prompt doesn't contain the context of the data you're feeding in.
No, it does not contain the context, and that is why the sampling is important. That is why the first prompt, the first agent's prompt has specific instructions that we and the prompt in the prompt we always send the rows and the columns, the the first row and the first
Data, yeah.
column, because they have information about what that data is, right?
Okay.
So then it looks at that, and then it looks at multiple, like it samples it, like over the whole data it will take like 20 samples randomly or evenly spaced, I think evenly spaced, to understand how does real data look like, because now it has context of how the column look, rows look, some real data looks, and then it decides, okay, so the processing they want me to do, how does that look like,
Okay, got it. Great.
right?
Yeah. I'm not sure, but Havish, do you know anything about boilerplate codes which are available on GitHub?
uh,
Okay, so she's reframing the question. She's asking, why are we reinventing the wheel when open source license starter templates are already available? We can just continue from these.
so if these templates that we're talking about, if they provide the agentic AI part of it in them, right? Then I think yes, I reinvented the wheel and I did not discover the GitHub repo that she's talking about. But if the situation is that these are standard templates that like a BI dashboard would have, right? That you can do trend analysis here, you can do some other analysis in some other template. Then this particular problem can actually, then what we can do with the agentic AI is that we can use the AI to process the data and feed it to the starter template, so that maybe my graphs look better, the way the representation is, maybe that looks better, because I'm sure people who have made those BI dashboards have put a lot of effort and they have done really good engineering there, right? And they know what their customers want. So instead of putting that data, so maybe we could use the AI to process the data and give that data to the BI dashboard, so that we can use the abilities of the BI dashboard of presenting with the data processing ability of the AI and the AI agent system that I built. So maybe we can bring both together and do something.
Yeah, true. Girish asks, how do you get the data for the agent?
Uh, So I'm not sure here if we are talking about, are we talking about the demo data, or are we talking of the prompt and the context?
Uh, um, Girish, if you can just unmute, like it's okay. No, the real data.
Oh, I explained. I'm getting the real data by connecting my dashboard to our like a clone of our staging database. So whenever I press that refresh button that I had on my dashboard, it fetches the real data.
Okay, so see, you are getting a data by dashboard, then what is the use of using a again and again for that?
Sorry,
Yeah, yes. So basically, you are getting the data by dashboard itself, right?
Mhm.
I'm just fetching the data from our database in my to
No,
my
no, no, no,
dashboard.
no, 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 no. So you told that you are getting a data through the dashboard.
No. The data is fetched from the databases and it is
Yeah,
shown in
okay.
the dashboard.
Yeah, yes, yes, yes. So you are using that means whatever the data shown in the dashboard, right? It is a final data you are getting in a JSON format or something, some other format.
Yes.
So you are utilizing that data to dynamically generated charts by using the AI agent, right?
Yes, I'm basically manipulating that data to be visualized in different ways.
Hmm.
Okay, okay, yeah. Means that final data you are getting from a dashboard itself, correct?
I guess, yes.
Yeah, okay. Means you
Yeah.
are not getting the data from directly from the database and allowing the agent to process the data to generate a dynamic charts.
Yeah, that is very accurate.
No, 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 no. I am asking you, you
Yes.
are not getting a data directly from database to and give it to the agent to process and generate a charts dynamically. Basically, you are not doing like that.
No, I think I'm doing exactly the same thing. I'm getting the data and then I'm giving it to the AI agent to process it so that it can present it into the tables and the charts that are needed.
Then why the dashboard in the middle?
Because the visualizations I have to see in some dashboard, right? Like I need a visualizer
No,
to
okay,
see the
okay,
data, right?
okay, dashboard, okay. But
Hmm.
you, you are getting a dashboard data and giving it to the AI agents.
No, 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 no. It is that data that I'm pulling. It does not exist in another dashboard already. It is not. It stays in our databases. It is like backend data. There is no visual. It is like looking at MongoDB. Like what information will you get from looking at MongoDB data entries? You can't
Okay,
look at that and understand anything, right? So there is no visualization for that data before this dashboard. So we just pulled that data from those databases. There was no web dashboard to see that data previously, and then we processed it so that we can see it and we can understand it.
okay, okay.
Yeah. Ashish asks like, oh, sorry. Girish, do you have anything more to
Yeah,
add?
yes, yes. See, but basically you are not connecting a DB to AI agent, right? How you are getting that?
I think we are getting a little bit too detailed into the actual backend that is part of this. We can probably take this offline and I can show you things in a little bit more detail then.
Okay.
Yes, thanks, Girish. We have Ashish. So he asked like the output of agent one is in a specific JSON format. So how did you prompt it to generate this JSON? Did it already know the JSON format?
So this is the beauty of vibe coding, right? This is the beauty of the fact how good the AI models as to which write code today are getting. So my discussion with, I wish I could show the discussion that I had with Claude Code when I was building this, but it was the discussion that I had with it was just an idea that I said, look, I don't want the first, I want the AI that is giving that output, the agent one. I want it to give it in a specific format that can be used by a data processor to manipulate the data. I did not define how that JSON looks, what abilities it needs to have, but I gave a high level idea of the kind of operations I need to do. Claude Code figured out what JSON that needs to be. It figured out how it needs to be given to the next data processor. It figured out how to tell the first agent in its prompt that its output needs to be like this. I did not write the prompt for the agent one either. Claude Code wrote the prompt for agent one depending upon what I was asking it to do. So I asked it, look, tell agent one exactly the different type of outputs it is allowed to put out. Tell it always has to give a JSON. It cannot give anything else. Tell it, that it has to sample the data. It has to look at the names of the rows and the names of the columns to be able to do it. And I told Claude Code this, like NLP, just like I'm talking to you. And Claude Code wrote a very big, nice prompt, which then went to agent one, and then agent 1 gave the output. Claude Code wrote the code for the data processor to accept the output of agent 1, process the data, then output of the agent 1, how to give it to agent 2. Claude Code figured it out, and then again, even agent two's output is a JSON. Agent two's output is also a JSON, which is given to Chart.js library to create the visualization, right? Here also I did not define that JSON, or I said Claude Code explicitly. I said to Claude Code, you have to figure out the configuration for this chart. So it figured out how that JSON needs to be, what are the fields in it, what output it needs to give. Then it wrote the prompt for agent 2 so that it only gives outputs in that particular format, which can be used by the Chart.js library to make the chart. So yeah, you can basically very openly talk to Claude Code and ask it to build these kind of prototypes. It's pretty easy. The models are getting pretty powerful these days.
Yeah, with Haiku 4.5, I'm going to mention that all the time. But yes, the sub question to that is that if you have a custom JSON format which is not well known, in which agent should be generating, how would you prompt it? So I think you basically answered that, like Claude does most of the job.
So this is here, examples are your best friend, right? When you say custom JSON, wait. So here, so in the particular problem that I solved, because my data processor, I already knew that what abilities it has. Its inputs were limited. Like it can, what kind of inputs it can take to work on the data. Those are more or less it's a set. It's a closed set. It cannot be random because it's a deterministic code. That data processor is a deterministic code. So that is why there was no case of unknown JSON format happening. The worst that could happen is that agent one gives a JSON format gives a JSON which cannot be accepted by the data processor. In which case, my query would fail and I would get an error, something like that, which is okay. AIs hallucinate sometimes, but my experience with this complete project over those 12 hours was that it happened once in like 100 times. Like once I got an output from either of the agents which could not be processed by the deterministic code which followed them, even when their prompt explicitly told them all the types of outputs they could give. So that means we are very close to building very reliable systems where a combination of the AI, which is a non-deterministic system, which is probabilistic, working very closely with deterministic systems, can give you reliable, repeatable outputs.
Mhm. Makes sense. So Frederick again asks, we need the data in a specific database, like something AI friendly, like ClickHouse or Postgres, or yeah.
Right. So I will. They have two questions. Frederick has two questions. Both are great questions. So the first question is in a specific database. Like I said, the AI is not processing the data. The AI is not the one querying. Right. The AI is not making any HTTP calls to any database. It is a standard code which will fetch all the data from the database depending upon the time period I put in, like last 7 days, last 30 days. And once that data comes, it is then given to the AI. So the data can come from literally any database. You can also have an import CSV, import XLS built into this, because at the end of the day, AI is not calling any database directly. It is being fed the data, which is being fetched by your standard deterministic code, right?
Mhm.
So that solves the first question. The second is, if the agent has to query from multiple tables, how are you handling that? I did not expand the scope of my hackathon in this particular project to that. But if I had to put an idea as to how I would go about doing that, is that I would probably figure out a way to merge those tables, or I would figure out a way for that data processor to work with those multiple tables. But again, instead of coming up like working off the top of my head, I would probably create some example data sets that I need to work with, and then I would figure out how to make it work with them. So yeah, that would be something that's up for exploration at that moment. You can try and you can let us know of your experience on our community that we have on, I think, Slack and WhatsApp.
Yeah. I think I'll take one last question because we're way ahead of time. So, Yashdeep finally asks, like, can you share the limitations currently you're aware of this project?
Yes. So it is very interesting that what the limitations are of this project. So the limitations here are being imposed by the deterministic code, which is following both agents, right? So you have agent one, which has to give the JSON output, which can be consumed by a deterministic data processor, right? So that means agent one can only output those things that can be processed by the second system. So if, let us say, there is some modulus function, which is not something that the current data processor can do, then that becomes a limitation. The AI can give the command do it, but the data processor is a standard deterministic code, it can't do it. So that becomes one limitation. Similarly, if you want to make some kind of a 3D chart, but chart.js does not support that, then the output of the agent 2 is limited there, that no, you cannot give an output which says make 3D charts, because the system that is following you is a proper deterministic system. It has a standard amount of inputs, it has standard variations in those inputs. Whatever output you give has to match those, right? It has to basically mix and play and make combinations of those possible variations, but it cannot add anything new. So all the limitation on my systems are from the deterministic parts of my code, but not the AI itself. So yeah, but yeah, so that was the limitation that we were working with here.
That's great. Okay, I feel bad. There's just two more questions. I think we'll just close it with those two more questions. So Ashish's question is something that is very relevant. So Claude comes with a lot of context limits. So he asks if AI has to read the entire documentation, then would it exhaust the context window, and how does that work?
Uh, so this is a good question. I think this is more related to how you do vibe coding, or basically how you code with AI when you're working with large data sets. And I think this is a problem that over time you will have to solve less and less, because there's a lot of engineering that is being done by great minds on context engineering and managing the context window. So people are figuring out a lot of ways to solve this problem. But today at the point where Claude Code is that we ensure that in the projects that where we are running Claude Code and from project I just mean the folder where we are running Claude Code, we have all the documentation it wants, right? So if I were to ask it a question just like tell me this, it will try its best to find from across all the documentation, but obviously there's a chance it will fail, right? And also if even one of your files is too big, then you may have seen that Claude only reads like 200 lines at one side, one attempt. If it does not find the information that, then it reads the next 200. If it doesn't find information that, then reads next 200. There's a variety of ways that Claude actually tries to manage the context. Sometimes if you're asking it for a particular question, we'll do a control F on kind of the data to only figure out those parts and kind of use that in its context, right? So you can leave the context engineering part of it kind of to Claude as much as possible. But if you have clarity exactly where the data is located, then it can be of massive help. So one of the biggest tools that we use in Claude Code is @ we put @ and we specifically mention the files that we want Claude to pay special attention to in that particular prompt or that session I'm having with Claude. So I'll be like go into this documentation this particular MD file this JSON, this HTML, whatever it is. I have all of them. Then I ask my question. Now I know it is going to read them as much as it can and then try to answer my questions. So that is one way we can at the moment help out Claude as much as possible. And I have seen this to be a good way of doing it. My developer colleagues are actually even better at it when they actually give Claude a set of instructions on how to go through the documentation. So instead of Claude trying to read the complete database or basically the code repo, what they will tell Claude to do is go look at this TOC, or basically like a file structure, like a table of contents, or basically which tells you where all the data is in that folder. Go figure out which file has the information you're looking for, then only go specifically read that file and then specifically read some other file, and then that way collect, bring your context together instead of trying to read through everything and hitting context limits like you mentioned.
Correct. I'm not sure. I think this is the security side of things, but Pavitra mentions, isn't your proprietary data being sent to Claude? So how are you solving this use case?
We believe, yeah, so at Flightbase we believe that all of your data anyway, everybody who wants it has already. So there isn't a lot of, the way we see it, trying to protect your data, and by protecting your data, not using AI to learn and do as many things that is possible today is a bigger detriment to Flightbase as a team than trying to protect that data. And as long as we are very careful that the data that we are using with the AI is enough backend, it is enough scrambled, it is enough generalized, there is absolutely no way any of the data can be traced to any of our customers. It cannot be any personally identified information is not going through there. Then we feel comfortable playing around with technology like this, right? But it is very important that, and we are extremely careful when we are dealing with customer data. That's why all the data that we usually are giving AI to do these kind of applications, or on especially on hackathons and things like that, they are from our staging, they're not from our production. And if we ever give actual customer data, if we give it, it will be completely basically mashed, in the sense that it cannot be traced back to any user, any device, any customer, anything like that. It is all completely encrypted and then it is given. We know how to decrypt it, but when it is given to the AI, it is just mess, or basically it cannot be traced that way.
That's great. I mean, she's written a point after that, I think so. She's written only public data can be sent in standard JSON and SQL format. I think
I
she
think
was,
talking about the encryption part there, that if you're actually using customer data to send it out, then it cannot be like this, right? And
yeah.
that makes sense. Like, we do not, definitely as an enterprise company, we do not want to be sharing any customers data with an AI directly. It needs to be enough wrapped in abstraction layers so that it is not easily traceable or understandable.
That's great. I think yes, we've pretty much answered all the questions that there in the chat. But if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to Havish on LinkedIn as well, and also on our WhatsApp community. So we are pretty active there. Do send us your questions, and we'll be there to answer any of the questions that you need. Given that, I would also like to run down on the other AI in action. The continuity of AI in action series for the rest of the week. We would have Vishant from our team talking about Task Whisperer, which is how they convert our current meeting notes into something that you guys never knew would happen. So those of you who've been using a lot of AI note takers, this would be an eye opener. So do come and join us. You will be able to see how we are, taking our tasks and everything like that. The next is how we test real APIs with AI. So there's been a lot of queries in a lot of our sessions about this. So do have a look, come and have a look. Our developer has come across few things. How do you get the info on these sessions? Okay, sure, I'll be sending the link to this so you can go and read more about these sessions. The last is AI-powered Twitter recruiting. So we have started actively recruiting through Twitter at this point. So cracked a lot of APIs on the back end without hitting the API limits is the ace word. But do come and join us to understand what we are doing. That's more about it. That's what we have scheduled for this month. There's more to come. There's more to do. But to know more, do join our WhatsApp community. We'll be surely posting all of these links over there, and we'll be running the registration campaigns over there as well. So yes, keep yourself updated with Flybase AI in action. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks, Havish, for being there. And stay tuned. Bye-bye.